Hey, welcome back to I Know a Guy Bicycles, hanging out with a guy. It is Shop Talk Tuesday. If it's Tuesday, we're going to talk about some shop talk that's related to actually bits and parts and tools and so forth, what goes on behind the scenes of your local bike shop. In addition to, we're going to hit up on that topic piece at the top of the next hour. So first, without further ado, we're going to dive into the actual technical aspect of this video. And thanks again. Welcome to Shop Talk Tuesday from the guy. Yes, been here for 35 years doing cycling stuff back in the day. Well, not in this particular spot. I've been doing this out of my garage for about 5 years. But then again, I've been in the industry for 35. My parents had the bike shop called Parker Bikes back in the 80s. And here, lo and behold, here I am doing tune-ups, refurbishing bikes. Basically, everything is a brick and mortar store without the actual brick and mortar. And also diving into this community. And thank you for watching me here on Shop Talk Tuesday. We'll let a few people roll in as we start this preview. And also, if you're watching this on the replay, there will be some ads. If you're watching this live, it's ad-free. So I encourage you, implore you, if you can show up at 10 o'clock on Mountain Time to hang out, that's when you'll have the cleanest. If not, understandable, life is busy and so forth. But just a heads up on that. Oh, so what are we going to dive in today? It's been, well, it's the end of April, and we are actually kicking off into the season. Here locally, it's been a little bit warmer, so people have been kind of getting into the vibe of riding here and there. We've had some crappy weekends, but also a couple nice weekends. So weather permitted, weather on weekends really does affect retail business, especially cycling business, because most of the people that do a lot of avid cycling, not all of them, have weekends off, and that's when they take their time to ride with their families or themselves or do those adventures and that kind of thing. So when you have multiple weekends of bad weather, doesn't matter what market you're in, it's going to kill your season. We've had about a mix of 50-50, and I would say the season's kicking off. And I did take a ride last weekend where the weather finally broke and got a little bit nicer after a cold snap. The bike path was filled with people riding all kinds, e-bikes to family rides, group rides, walkers, dogs, everything, the whole thing. It was great. It was awesome. Another butt for chair. Thank you for joining. Your home skilled. How's it going? Yeah, it's doing great. I mean, not. I can't complain. I mean, considering everything that's going on in the state of the state, I am actually not too bad. Doing okay. Lewis, thank you for joining me. And those who are just jumping in, please hit the like button to kind of get it out there. The topics, man, well, as anybody who's worked in a shop, and there's a few of you that do watch this that work in bike shops, I mean, there's almost every hour, there's like one or two, maybe three things you can like, oh, I can highlight a video on that, from just like taking apart an Ultegra rear derailleur to detailing or taking apart a headset, or all those kinds of things. And here's the weird crazy bit of it is a lot of those mechanics out there, or maybe think about imploring and doing something like this, there's more than enough room for us. Let's just put it that way. So if your shop wants to just add some videos of tech pieces and so forth, granted, YouTube only goes back a certain amount of time. So if you go like this one here is a prime example, a K2. I mean, come on, who remembers K2 bikes? I mean, they remember K2 skis and snowboards, but I don't know if they're, I mean, honestly, I haven't looked up the company recently, so I'm not sure if they're still around or not. But this particular bike had a combination with Dura-Ace and Ultegra 9-speed. So that puts it right at the late 2000s, or late 90s to early 2000s, and it has some interesting bits to it. But we're going to kind of touch base on detailing today, and that's what we're going to dive into. Bike of old detailing, what you want to think about considering doing yourself or adding it to a service to your shop, and also ceramic coating to that, which has really been known within the cycling or in the car industry for years, and they really perfected those particular preventions, protections, and just making your bike look cool, and also saving paint over a long period of time. Granted, bikes don't have as much abuse in the sense of going 80 miles per hour unless it's on top of a car rack. and then it's not outside as much as cars are usually parked. Therefore, a ceramic coating, and we're going to go over a couple of different kinds of ceramic coating, but the ceramic coating will last a little bit longer on your bike frame than it would on a car, usually, depending how much grit, grime, gunk you get into it. But we'll go over the benefits of that in a little bit. But you know, the details is the devil's in the details, right? Of detailing. Woo! Oh, I'm on par today. Look at that. So, all right, so we just got through our intro, and I'm going to try to do marking of time here, so I can go back and put timestamps for easier for you guys watching the replay, so you can kind of do. So, the overview. Here we are with the overview. So, when you're looking at a detail frame, and again, in the chat, please throw down any kind of questions or what have you. I'm not the expert of detailing frames, but I've been doing detailing on bike frames for the last 2 years, so I've got a little under my belt. And again, if you're a car auto detailer out there and like, hey, you should probably do this instead of that, that might be better for you, please chime in, because I'm always about learning and learning new stuff, and detailing a frame is actually a new quiver, if you will, within my service, as well as I don't know, you know, it's just fun to get into something new. I've been working on bikes for 35 years. So when you get into something like news, like, oh, check this out, make it kind of cool without like having to be schooled, like hours and hours of classes and that kind of thing of your local, you know, your Shimano or SRAM or whatever. I mean, there's all sorts of videos for all that kinds of stuff. On the newer product, not necessarily on the older product. So starting off with what I've been doing here, let's do a little bit of a rearrangement so you can get a little bit better view of what I am working on. So I got this nice little Beaver bicycle stand. I did make a little video on that too. It was gifted from Beaver, but the product's not available, so I have to wait to launch that video till later. It's just, you know, one of those 3-minute, check it out, whatever promo video thing. Kind of the benefits of, you know, I don't know, being on YouTube. They like to give you free stuff periodically. But that being said, before we jump into this, I'm going to try to do this guy. Shout out to JensonUSA, which you'll find a link below if you're looking for some good pricing and as well tools to fit or to expand your actual shop at home. All right, hope that worked. I'm doing a little promo things. Jenson's a great place to get stuff. If you haven't heard of them, JensonUSA used to be a wholesaler back in the day. Now they sell direct to consumer. And they actually have really good, that's where I get a lot of my stuff. They have good prices on chains and cables and housing and that kind of thing. So there's a promo, there's a link in the description below. And if you're looking at stuff, and actually I found some of the prices have not gone up yet, so that's actually a win for those who are trying to keep their costs down going into this next season. So yeah, that's absolutely a win so far, but all to be determined on how long that will last. So in any case, don't want to go into the politics of it, too much of it, but we will talk about some industry insights and my perspective on those on the second half of this, so at the top of the hour. So in any case, as you can see, if I'm pulling my gloves off, you're seeing flakes of wax. I just waxed some chains. So the K2 is in for the deluxe tune-up, which we're going to be doing detailing on the frame, replacing the cables and the housing, cleaning the drivetrain with ultrasonic cleaner. This has like old school Dura shifters on it, which is crazy. If I can get the thing just wants to pop back out. Stay in there. Oh, anyway, okay. So this is missing its little head cover. And to identify, just a side note of models, the shifters will have the model number there. So it's ST, was it 70 something, 7700C. So this is just a double, I believe. They did make a triple in the 9-speed, believe it or not, back in the day. And this is what the head, or the badge, how do they call that, head badge cover, whatever. You know, on this particular model, Ultegras as well, in that particular vintage, they like to pop and fall off, so, or break. There's a couple companies on eBay that make 3D printed of them. I bought them, a few of them, and painted them. They make a lot better look. It's just there for aesthetics, so just a heads up on that. The rest of the parts on this bike is Ultegra brakes, crankset, a Dura-Ace rear derailleur, and then it has, I think, Alex or wheels on it. Any case, the reason why I talk about the parts is the parts I do when they're all broken down like this, I clean them, and I also put it's like a wax, ceramic wax spray hybrid. It's a little thicker, and that's what I put on the rims, and once they're clean, then I just apply that with the applicator, something like this, and therefore it protects those parts from basically when you get gunk on it, when you wash it, it helps shed all that dirt, mud, what have you. So it has, I've noticed it on some bikes I've done already, and also customers have said, oh, once I rinse the bike off, everything just falls off. It was great. There are ludes that keeps you from having to use high pressure water, which all bike mechanics know. High pressure water into any bearing areas is a no-no. You don't want to do that, and even though a lot of shops do have like those spray booths in the back, it's just for them to just, you know, they're basically volume. They're cranking out bike tunes, and they just want to blow all that dirt off of it, which they're probably blowing out a little bit of grease out of those bearing ports. So, any case, not to judge, but not to judge. Kind of judging a little bit, a little judgy. But then again, those baths, I did check out the local check store here. They showed off this bath system, which was a converted company that converted dog washing stations to bike washing stations, and they charge like $3,000 to $5,000 for these things. It's insane. It's nuts. But in any case, I don't think you need to do that. But hey, if you got the money and not the sense, and you want to do that in your own shop or your own garage, sweet, sure. Yeah, I used to wash bikes off with the hose and that before pre-washing and so forth. Actually, I found, since I do the full detailing of it, I just do it in the stand. I break all the parts down and clean it up, so it's always a low and light, polite cleaning type of situation. So, in any case, Tim, thank you for shifter nameplates. That's right. I do apologize. I'm still getting over that gunk from last. I think it's allergies too. Any case. Shifter nameplates, yes, and you can just look those up on eBay, and you'll find, just type in the model like I showed you. Like the model number ST7700 or 6500, and I'll pop up the correct one that you need. Some of them do right and left, and some are just either or. So keep that mindful when you're looking at something like that. And I thought about 3D and printing my own and so forth. It's just, I don't know. I'm just not a manufacturer. It's just one of those things. I'd rather just do the work and then buy the parts, that kind of thing. So in any case, back to, so clean the parts, put a coating on it, wipe it off. With the rims, when I do clean those, then I go back to the rim bed surface where the brakes contact. I use rubbing alcohol to clean that, so it gets any kind of cleaning or waxing off those. That gives you the best braking power and braking possible. Oh, yeah, did they have, oh, good call, Tim. Yeah, the ST7700 had 3 different unique hoods. Yes. And if you want to, the hoods are, if you don't know, it's these rubber things. So be mindful of what you order. You can still see those in the used market. I'm not sure if anybody's making new ones of those, but that, you know, any case. Some people buy just shifters just to part them out for like the head badge. Like the head, like the, yeah, what was it? The shifter nameplates. I've seen like some Ultegra ones, like new in a little bag. From the late 90s, early 2000s, going for like $90 for one, which is just, you know, insane. You can get the eBay ones, I think they were like $30, $35, what have you. They're made somewhere in Kansas, Kansas or something like that. In any case, so when you're looking at the bike, we're starting, you know, this is going to be the old bike detail. So make a timestamp here. Old bike detailing. Okay, you got to clean the bike, right? Get the parts off if you can. If not, rinse it, wash it. I use Purple Power mixed. You can get Purple Power from Amazon, Walmart, wherever. You can get a big jug of it. It's pretty cheap. 50-50 with water, and then I spray the bike down. I already did this one and wipe it down. The other philosophy for like auto detailing, you take water, this is just regular water, and spritz it, and that kind of sheds any kind of chemicals and so forth on there. Once that's either wiped down or dried, and therefore your frame should be pretty clean. Okay, so the tools that I use for higher level detail, which I'm going to be doing on this guy, I'm not going to be able to get all the scratches out completely, but I can get a lot of the scuffs and so forth removed. And also another pre-treating, cleaning, and about ceramic coating, it's all about the prep. All the work is the prepping to get that paint at best level as possible before you apply those ceramic coatings. The other trick I use, you can get Walmart, they have Clean Streak, or bike shops, or even on Jenson's, they'll have Clean Streak from White Lightning, which works well. I'd suggest using that if you're not familiar of how to use brake cleaner or carb cleaner. This is a little more intense. It's very fumey. You have to have an ID to buy it because, you know, they don't want you to be puffing it. And believe me, you don't want to get high on this stuff. It just gives you a massive headache. But in any case, not that I know, just whatever. I'm not going to go there. But I found this to work really well. Also, I suggest the White Lightning Clean Streak to those smudges, gummed up sticker stuff, and always apply it on the rag first, and just do light and polite. Always wear gloves and safety glasses, and then just do your light dabbles in those areas. And watch out for the decaling. If the decaling is not clear coated and so forth, it'll wipe that right off. So you want to make sure that if you're questioning it, go on the down tube of the bike and clean off a couple areas there to see how it works. All bike paint for bike frames are not the same. They're going to have different levels and qualities and all that, just like cars. So you want to know on your bike what you're dealing with before you get kind of crazy. I've worked on a lot of different bikes and done a lot of detailing and a lot of cleaning of the frames. In that case, I've noticed the behavior of a lot of different paints. So I'm already pre-programmed to know how it's going to work. But even then, still have to be careful because I've had some boo-boos like, oops, wipe that decal right off. In any case, that's another trick of cleaning. It's all about prepping and cleaning the frame. Silenced my phone. Sorry about that if you saw a pop-up or anything. Okay, so detailing. So there's 3 levels of detailing that I do on a frame like this that has quite a few scratches. One is called a scratch and swirl, and this portion of it I'm using Adams products. Adams is a detailing product line. It's actually sold out of Colorado, Denver, Colorado. And I mean, I'm not sure where exactly everything's made, but they have a huge laundry list of stuff. This is the scratch and swirl, and their stuff is kind of cool because it's color coded to the pads themselves. So orange is with red orange, the blue compound is with the blue pad, and the white is for the detailing. So I'm just going to do a small little section kind of thing so you can kind of get an idea. But this thing's kind of loud. This is also a Dremel tool. They sell like the auto detailing ones for the smaller pads. I found this one's a heck of a lot cheaper. Number one, it's like 50, 60 bucks. And it's smaller and lighter. For me, I don't want to be lugging a big tool around, which I am already a big tool. I don't need to add another one to my plethora, but that's what we're looking at. So you're looking at a Dremel tool, the buffing one here. On my Amazon store, you'll find this, as well as the Adams products. And in any case, that's what we're looking at. So we're gonna get a little bit closer and personal on the frame here a little bit so you can get a little bit of insight. Hopefully you can see it. So I'm just going to focus on this little section here. Typically I do one layer of this, like each one, go through the bike frame a couple times. The scratch and swirl you want to do in only certain sections. You don't want to do the whole frame unless the frame is like totally messed up. You just want to concentrate on areas to kind of clean those areas up. So I'm going to take 2 seconds here to do that. And typically where those scratches are, it's usually close to chips. Okay, that's enough. I don't want to drive you guys crazy. So a few seconds there, then you wipe. And you can probably, I mean, I can see right now the clear coat starting to pop. It really polished that up. And some of those scratches, you won't get rid of them completely depending on how deep the scratch is, but it basically is smoothing down that scratch surface so it's less noticeable. Number two, it doesn't catch the weird crap. So that's what the whole idea is. The final result is a ceramic coating, which is basically a hard shell or a light hard shell over that clear coat or paint. So that's the first process. And I do spots all over. And sometimes that will pick up some of that gunk off the frame that I couldn't get off by using those cleaning products. So that's the scratch and swirl. The next one is and there's a lot of different scratch removal type things. And again, double check it with on your frame, sample it in small areas where you can't see it underneath or so forth. And before you go crazy, because if you're not familiar, light and polite is the name of the game on this guy, so don't go crazy. I've gone a little too heavy on some of it in my earlier days, and it kind of just eats that paint right off. I try to do the best I can, but some frames, like the Le Mans frames, I feature a lot of Le Mans on my channel. The steel frames have a really light or thin paint to it. This is thick, and then the Specialized ones are crazy. I worked on a Fuji the other day too. It seemed like the same thing. Is like they made the whole carbon frame and clear coated it, then they painted the color on top of it. So it's like super, super thick. And if it got damaged, it just like pop up the paint, but you still saw like a clear coat underneath, which is really weird. So anyway, Mark, thank you for joining in. Appreciate it. Oh yeah, what kind of polishing machine I use? Yeah, it's the Dremel Versus, this guy. Amazon store below, click on that. There should be a little polishing portion of it. It's this guy here. It comes with different ones. It has its own pad system that comes with it, but the pads I bought here are specifically from Adams. I don't know if they make the smaller ones anymore. I think they did. What you do is you take the bigger one, and like on this one, I cut it. It's like a 3-inch or something like that, and I cut it down to smaller. So always go big, and you can reduce the size on it. The bigger pads work on this well, but it burns the battery power down pretty quick. So that's why I have two. I have two of these, so one burns out, or runs out of juice, I can go to the next one. So basically light and polite with the compound, and the compound basically just smooths out the surface of it and gives it a little better shine and preps that surface area and pulls up any extra contaminants and that kind of thing. And granted, there's like a million different processes out there for car detailing. You can get lost in the weeds for hours on end if you enjoy doing that. Adams does have like a live show too, by the way. I think it's 12 o'clock on Wednesdays. And you can do I think it's an AMA thing. So therefore you can kind of ask questions and all that, and go from there and see if any products that are featuring that day. So if you notice, I switch different. You want to have 3 different types of cloths. I get different color ones because that way you know which one goes to which one, or at least try. So you're not basically taking the scratch and swirl buff off and putting it on there. Try to use clean ones as much as possible. These look kind of dingy, but I wash them, so the dinginess stays, but they are clean and got most of the contaminants off of that. Precision e-bike, Josh, thank you for joining and jumping in. Not sure if that's yeah. Well, I got a replacement for him. Not as newer, a little bit better shape. He likes the squishy type. I had to go over the whole conversation about saddles with him. And if you don't know about saddles, I mean, okay, a bicycle has 3 contacts, right? This is a sidebar. 3 contacts on the bike: your hands, your butt, and your feet, right? Hands, bar tape, grips, gloves, added protection, comfort, and so forth. For the hands also, bar stems, combinations, all that. It's a fitting thing, right? Saddles are really like shoes. So if you're a runner, you know this well. It's like your foot either fits a New Balance, a Saucony's, or Asics, or a Nike. It's not that you drink any of their Kool-Aid at all. It's what fits the best if you're an avid runner or just a person that has feet that uses shoes. That is definitely something you'll notice. Like, okay, I'll walk the strip on Las Vegas and my feet are killing me in these flip-flops versus these other pair of shoes fit me really well. I'm an Asics person, so for trail running, which I don't trail run, but like hiking with that kind of thing, those shoes fit me the best. I tried the Asics, I tried New Balance. Okay, needless to say, the saddles are kind of the same way. So what I really suggest, if you're gonna invest into a saddle and try to buy from a location that has multiple brands, Trek Specialized and a couple others that also have the fit guarantee to them. And the reason why you go into one location that has multiples is, let's just say you tried the Trek saddle out for a while and tried it, swapped it out once, maybe twice, and you're like, man, these just doesn't quite fit. That there alludes that you can go back to that same store, get store credit towards the Specialized one or the other brand. And the reason being is, just like I mentioned about shoes, one brand's going to fit you a little bit better than another. Once you find that one saddle, it doesn't matter if you paid 100, 150, 250 bucks on a thing. I know that sounds extreme. They don't, number one, they usually don't wear out. Well, this is a vinyl, or not a vinyl, but a cloth style. So it was designed to fall apart anyway. But any case, so you get a nice leather saddle, it fits you correctly, it's going to last a long time, and that's going to improve your riding experience. So that's the end of the day, that's the end result that you want, is when you get a bike, you go for a bike ride, and your butt is not going to deter you from riding. Okay, the same concept could be done with shoes. So do the same thing. And don't worry about that shop, swapping it out and feel bad. Keep on switching and using up saddles or using up shoes. Don't worry, because as an inventory manager, we would send off a request or a return request to Trek or Specialized, and they don't want it back. They're like, just give it to a staff member. And therefore, the staff members get extra saddles and shoes. Used to. That may have changed. So if you're in the shop right now and they've changed their policies in any way, please comment below, because that's a couple-year-old Kool-Aid. But in any case, that's what I still kind of direct people to do for fitting. Any case, that's a good catch of the, and saddles. When you're working on bikes, saddles and grips, wear gloves. It can get weird. Any case, so we're going to the polish part. And Adam's has been known to be really good quality products and so forth. I'm using the white pad here, do a little dab, and kind of give it an equal distribution of the actual pad itself. And then once it's wiped down, I go and proceed with the polishing. And I'm going quick. Typically on the compound and this one, I've been told several times with those who do detailing on cars, you want to slow it down and go smooth, for example. So with that, then I know it's the same color, but I know it's a cleaner one. I had 3 colors. Anyway, so you take your fiber cloth and you buff it off like that. Okay, so the frame is sparkly clean. In certain areas, like really pops. You can still see some of the scratches, but it's not going to, I'm not here to restore it. I'm refurbishing. 2 different things. Basically, refurbishing is taking what you got and making it the best you can. And restoring is like, I'm going to get some touch-up paint and match up that gray glitter and touch it up. Some people do that. Auto stores have like spray paint kits or spray kits that you can actually do touch-ups. Quite honestly, matching paint and color and tone, you have to be an expert. There are people experts, but then again, on a bike like this, you're not going to want to put that much money into. Not to say there's nothing wrong with the K2 mod 4.0. Not at all. It's just, if it's not like, let's say you had a classic, and I'm going to ruffle some feathers there. What if you had a classic Postal Lance Armstrong bike, and it was actually one of the team bikes, and you're like, ooh, and it had some scratches and so forth from whatever racing or been in somebody's garage for the last 2 decades, and you're like, we need to like refurbish it, not refurbish it, but detail it to the point where it's restored. There lies that, because that bike is now probably what, 5, 10 grand to go into a museum. Just saying. Any case, sorry for the coughing. David, good morning. Thank you for joining. Noah, thank you for joining in too. I'm just reading the comments here. Sorry. I kind of went out of the picture frame. Everything's going up on prices on nearly everything. Yeah, we're going to talk about the totally train wreck what's going on with pricing and so forth in the bike industry, what we're seeing, what we have seen, what's just happened, and what's going to be going to happen as what I've seen so far and a little bit of experience of how those companies are handling this current situation. But we'll talk about that at the top of the hour. Yeah, David, thank you for, tools and parts. So yeah, if you're opportunity right now and you see these prices not hiked up or anything like that, it might be, why not? I want to just go ahead, and especially on consumables on a bike. When I say consumables, tires, tubes, chains, cables. Sorry, man, this weird cold has just not gone away. I feel fine. I've been doing some riding, and it's just, it's that tickle thing, so I do apologize. On a replay, if I remember, I'll try to edit those out. In any case, so if it's, consumables and you're thinking, I'm getting close on tires, you better just go buy some tires. Chain, cassette, backup chains, that kind of thing. Especially if you want to wax chains, it's a great opportunity to do that before the prices do knock up. Then again, when you're looking at parts, it's a lot lower lift on chains, cassettes, and so forth. This is only 10 to 20% if it's not coming out of China, but in a lot of those parts are not, especially for a little bit nicer end stuff, usually from Taiwan or Cambodia or Vietnam, what have you. But in any case, or German, which is the Connex brand, kind of thing. So, it'll be a little bit, but it's a lot cheaper than a whole freaking bike. So if you're looking for a whole bike and it's still on sale, this might be the time. Or you're going to be like, I'm just going to have to buy a used bike, which is not a bad thing at all. Hey, learn how to do those things and go on forward and be great. Okay, so makes it a little bit nicer, all those kinds of things. The paint is what they call corrected. Like you said, like I said earlier, you're noticing this right off the bat. It's like, oh, this is a lot of work. Well, the bike frames are a lot smaller than cars, so if you can do that to your car, a bike frame is and this is one of those certain scenarios that if you do it once, you really don't have to do it again, and not as in, deep detail. This is something like if you had a bike and it's been abused for a while, in other words, thrown around the garage, right, that kind of thing. And you can do this, but when you do it as a preventative later on, it's more of smaller sections. Something like this has been neglected for a long period of time, hasn't paint, just ridden. That's great. It's awesome. I'm going to make it look nicer, make it pop, and then I'm going to add a protection. On to the protection. Here we go, ceramic coating. Ho, 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 ho. Dun, dun, dun. So for that, we are going to rubbing alcohol. You just want to make sure that surface is completely clean from everything. So you basically wipe down the surface area like so. That sometimes will leave a little bit of a haze. And then once that completely evaporates off, you relieved it from all of its contaminants. And then I'm going to switch brands on you here. I'm going to go with, I have two brands. I've used a lithium ceramic slam on a lot of bikes for the last year. Also, I've used the graphene ceramic spray coating from Adams. This is my initial overview of these two products. This seems to stack up really well. This one works well, but if you don't knock it down before it, right after it flashes, then it leaves a smear, then you have to redo it. This is a little harder to use, but as in testing, I have no idea. They seem to perform about the same. I like the stacking feature of the ceramic slam. Also, for those who just don't want to be like hovering over their bike frame and waiting for it to flash and then wipe it down, this you can put a coat on it, walk away, or even the next morning, knock it down, spray it again. They typically, I think they say you want to wait, say 1 or 2 minutes, but I'd say wait like about 5 or 10 minutes before you put the next coat on there. And what that is doing is you're layering the ceramic coatings on top of each other. Also, when I do this, I'm using an applicator like this, and then I'm going through the frame 2 times on both sides, and you basically just wipe it on like so, wipe on, wax off. And then you go through all the nicks and crannies. The reason why I go over 2 times on both sides for one application is whatever I may have missed the first time, I caught it on the second time. And I do 2 to 3, usually 3 stacks on a bike frame. And yeah, it is a little bit of a time process, but I do that, set my pad down in a clean area, and proceed to work on my other parts, true wheel or whatever, and come back and hit it again and get that second layer, let it set. Then after about an hour of the third, then you go and you take your cloth and knock it down. And with that knockdown, you'll notice it'll be on this one is like a haze. Lithium ceramic slime is like a haze to it. And when you knock it down, it's like you feel a tack at first, and you push it, and it's like super smooth. It's like super nice. And you get a nice shine, clear, and all that. And then you let it sit I let mine sit for 24 hours before I reassemble the parts. So this one, I'm going to do this detailing and ceramic coating today. Let it sit overnight, do the coatings and so forth. So basically my process on this bike here, I started last night or afternoon. Took 2 hours of stripping all the parts and cleaning it and that kind of thing, waxing the chain and all that. Today I'm going to do the frame, detailing and so forth. I have bar tape on order, so that's going to show up later today. And then either probably tomorrow morning, I'll attack it, throw the parts back on there, and then string it up, do all the adjustments, and put the bar tape in and the other saddle there. Josh, good eye. And then it should be go. So yeah, that sounds like a hefty lift. That's how I do it, because I do a whole bunch of different things during my business of my day. So the shop perspective of it is like, oh yeah, I work on the frame for a couple hours, then I do some promoting or listing parts on my website, then I go do this, and I go pick up my daughter from school, and then I go do that, and I go look at another bike and go pick up boxes at the local bike shop or drop off, so I'm it. So I'm wearing a whole bunch of different hats during the course of the day. I just don't work on one bike throughout the day. It's kind of like a skip. So for me, between selling parts and everything else, it's basically a time balancing every day. And the bikes for me are I'm not trying to push through as many units as possible. I don't do volume repairs anymore. It's high quality repairs over a couple of days, and then on to the next. I got another truck over here, Checkpoint, I think it is. That's my next victim, and not the high level like this one, but that's what I do. That's how I roll. In any case, try not to bore you to death with the technicality of the business portion of it, but hey, I know some of you are bike shop people or have garage shops as well. All right. So far, I'm only seeing the 10% increase on suppliers. Well, that's good. We'll talk about that in a little bit, David. Joe, welcome from north. Hope it's thawed out in your neck of the woods. Oh, Lance, yep. Yeah, was an incredible cyclist. Drugs or no drugs, I think they all were, it's kind of it, but, it's how it was handled, and there's a whole bunch of drama of the early 2000s between him and Le Mans and everything else. You can write books about it. I'm sure there's books about it. But you can't not acknowledge that lad in the late 90s, mid to late 90s, hit the scene, winning Tour de France, first American cyclist on a American team to actually win the Tour de France. Prior to that was Greg LeMond, which was the first American to win the Tour de France. So there lies, even though they do not race anymore, they're still competitive about their records. It's crazy. In any case, they won't let it go. In any case, probably. I mean, if you put that much effort into all that, I think you'd be kind of hung up on it too yourself. But in any case, you can't, what happened within the industry, it just really blew up road cycling, where mountain biking was dying off, and it just gave a huge insurgence of people getting into cycling, which was awesome. But regardless of how it turned out, needless to say, it is what it is. In any case. All right, so that's a long-winded way of detailing a frame. That's, a 5-inch section here. So the idea on cars and bikes is if you get a new car and you get a new bike, this is the time to do the ceramic coating. So got a newer bike, and I'm going to show you how that works. So it is a lot easier, a lot less expensive, and easier to do at home kind of thing. I actually brushed up on a couple ceramic coating videos currently, see what the latest state of the state is on it, and this is what I came up with. So this is a Marlin 6. It's no more than 9 months used, and I'm used maybe 2 rides. It's actually in to be sold in consignment. So anybody looking for a medium Marlin 6 3rd gen, let me know. I haven't listed it yet. Will be listed here probably by the weekend. I need to do a couple detailing videos on it. And also it has a partner. There's 2 of them. It's the black with the silver decaling in a large, same make and model. I'm going to do a feature video on a review video-ish, in my perspective, of the new Q, shifting and derailleur, what I've seen from other tests, what this model fits in the complicated model filing system of Trek, and basically meant to just confuse the heck out of you and make you go into the bike shop to figure it all out. That's even you get to figure it out. In any case, so let's say you bought a bike, pretty color, like this is cool. This is really nice. I want to do something. Typically, what you want to do if you're comfortable with this is take the wheels off. In this case, I'm not. I'm just going to show an example, and this is actually pretty easy. I'm going to dumb it down for you, and not to insult any dumb, but I have my moments. You wipe it off, dust free as much as you can. Especially if it's been sitting on the showroom floor for a little bit. So you want to make sure you got that exposed. And this is a pretty simple process. Actually, I need to do a timestamp on this because I'm doing new. Where am I? Let's say 40. Okay. So new bike, new paint, new car, new paint, what have you. You just drove it off the lot, rode it off the lot. Rubbing alcohol again. So the thing is that, you can go this route if you feel like you want to add a higher level polish with the atoms. And that's all you need to do is just the polish portion of it if you wanted to do that. So you can do a little section just to make sure. I did it on our newer car without doing the polishing, and it turned out fine. Especially if there's any kind of blemishes or whatever you may have noticed either from the bike shop or the car shop, and you just wipe that all off. So that's basically gives you the most exposed, smoothest, polished surface for the clear coat. Most everything has clear coats on them, but not everything, most things. So the ceramic coating. So the one I showed you and featured was basically the spray-on. The spray-on for the car auto industry is thinking it lasts 3 to 6 months on a vehicle. Like I said before, if you're just joining us now, a clear coat on a car is usually meant being driving, the testing on it is 80 miles per hour, that kind of thing, back spray and all that. That's what they're considering the survival rate of that clear coat, ceramic coating on the spray, about 6 to 9 months. Then they have a new product that's been kind of releasing out, and this is from Lithium. I don't think it's been released yet. I just got a sample of it. It's called Hard Candy. The Atoms does have the smaller intense version. And you will notice right off the bat, it'll have an advertisement of lasting 5 to 10 years, something ridiculous. Okay, thinking about bikes. The only time it's going to go 80 miles per hour if it's on top of your roof rack on your car. And when they're looking at the being worn out and so forth, is being outside. The bikes are usually not outside. Hopefully they're outside a lot, but not as much as your car, really, for being exposed to elements. So will this be overkill? Probably. But this is a great opportunity to do this because to apply either or, you got that heavy lift. But if you halfway do it, half-ass it, and you put on the liquid version here, you just have to, you can redo it a little bit easier. Like, okay, I'm gonna buff that later, but I wanna put a ceramic coating on it now. Then it's a little bit easier to remove this. This stuff is like, this one's called hard candy for a reason. It's like a hard shell. And that's with also the Atoms and various other brands out there. Not really brand promoting at that point, but I mean, again, I do have stuff listed in the description below. So what would be good for you? 99% of you just need something in the bottle, spray it on, wipe it off. You're just protecting it. What that is doing when you're protecting it, and when you have it, you clear off the frame, add just a little bit of this. And a bottle of this is designed to like do a car twice or what. A bottle of this for your shop will do 20 or 30 bikes, those multiple stackings. So it'll last you a long time. Also, the lithium is, I think, a little bit cheaper. But then again, prices may vary, so depending when you're watching this. And you just put a little bit on the pad, and like I mentioned before, you stack it, you can do the same thing. But the other one, the hard candy, or its various other counterparts in the market, same thing, applicator, you pour it on there, put it on there, and it becomes harder. Well, the hard candy is really good on a perfect scenario. So if you got, sorry, a bike frame that has a custom paint job, and you want to put the best of the best on there, that's to do that. And you want to do it, take your time and make sure it's all on there. That'll give you that. I mean, that's probably the last time you'll probably need to ceramic coat your bike. Let's put it that way. I mean, lasting 5 years on a car would translate to maybe 15 to 20 years on a bike, maybe depending, of course, whatever. But it's going to be a lot longer, you know, take it for a lot longer for it to wear out, that kind of thing. Why ceramic coatings? Well, you're protecting. It's kind of like wax, Duralax, that kind of thing. Anything is better than nothing on a paint. That's what the end of the day. But the ceramic coating is a little bit easier to apply and gives you the best product or best protection possible. Well, what's that ceramic coating is designed to do? Well, rainstorm, boop, 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 and it does a high bead. It tightens up that water droplets, and a lot of times while you're riding, it'll just shed right off. Well, if you get mud, I have a little video on this in my library, and I took a specialized frame, put the ceramic coating from lithium and Atoms and just raw frame. You can see instantly how that water droplets are behaving on the frame. And also I tested with mud. So what I've gotten back from a few of my customers, I've done this process too, on newer frames, to go out for a ride, tumbleweed video in the library. He rode that bike and got all muddy, and he rinsed it off, and it's like everything just fell right off of it. He's like, this is amazing. And then when he got his next bike, was the Fairlight, which I'm working on the video right now. I'm gonna make it really nice. The Fairlight, which is a high-end steel from England, custom, you know, not custom, but I think he custom, anyway. Built that up, and he was like, he liked how the ceramic coating behaved on the tumbleweed so much, like, dude, you know, what do I need to do to make sure the frame's ready to go for you? To, you know, it's like, don't put parts on it because I got to take it all off. So did the same thing, cleaned it, put a stack layer on it, and then it does the high bead. Also, what it does, it has a UV protection, and it protects the paint from UV damage or lightening of the colors and so forth. So it's a twofer. And then it's a little bit easier to clean. A clean bike is a happy bike. The most wearing out of bikes itself is from componentry and so forth, is dirt, grime, that dust. They'll just eat away at componentry. That's where wax chains have become really more popular in that perspective. There's still some debate on what conditions you can do it. I've known some people that have ridden in really bad conditions, really humid conditions. They don't have any problems with it. It seems to work well. Longevity and componentry, same kind of concept, just hardening that area, protecting, that kind of thing. That's why I put the wax version or the heavier wax version on the bike, componentry, the shifters, the hoods. It does work on multi-materials. The ceramic coating could be used on not just aluminum, stainless. It works well on titanium frames. And mixed materials it'll work on. brings out, well, the other saddle, it won't bring that back to life, but it will protect this one, the nice Terry that's on there with the titanium rails. I think it's titanium, could be wrong. But it'll, help that break down, that kind of thing. So, of course, you can go down the rabbit hole and you get so many different ones. I would suggest if you just want to protect majority of random of all your bits, just pick up a bottle of this for like 20, 30 bucks, whatever it is. I think there's a discount code to Direct Through Lithium in the description below to help you, cut the cost down. And then with that protection, it will help. The prime example, I did the graphene spray from Adams on our car, which is a newer car. And my wife went on a work trip and went through Grand Junction area where it was really buggy. And the bugs are on there. And it's like, well, it didn't help with the bugs. I'm like, did it help with the washing of the bugs? That's the idea. It's like, and we put the car through the car wash, which is supposedly a no-no within the car detailing world. But we go through car washes, and the bugs just came right off. So, sticky bug guts, sure. Dirt, sure. Whatever else you can throw at it, maybe. Is it protective from damage from impact? I wouldn't say that. It may help a little bit, but not as much as you would think. Any case. Lo and behold, that's what we got. This does have multiple colors, nice little paint things. If you've seen any video feeds of like the Specialized, they're taking like plastic bag and spray painting on it, doing some really cool patterns and so forth. This is something similar to that. The Treks have, most of them have a pretty decent clear coat on them. Then again, doing the ceramic coating and so forth does help from sealing up those areas. So it'd be really good for steel frames. Just saying, chromoly frames like that Fairlight, the Tumbleweed, they're high-end chromoly Reynolds tubing. I'm not sure about the Tumbleweed, but the Fairlight is Reynolds tubing. I ride steel quite a bit. Even if it's a chip, it actually gives an extra water protection coating, prevents rust or any of that contaminants going in there. Even with aluminum frames, if the aluminum's exposed, water gets underneath there, it doesn't, it's like corrodes in a weird way. It's like that white puffy stuff, and you have to like polish it off and then put a clear coating on top of that. I mean, it doesn't corrode technically, but it does, I forgot the actual scientific name of oxidation or something. I don't know. Any case, and with titaniums, technically, and stainless steel, you don't need to worry about that, but it'd be nice to have an extra layer of protection. And the titanium frame on the Lightspeed that I worked on, featured in one of my videos, also in the library. I did put ceramic coating on it. And then once you have the ceramic coating on there, on either case, whatever the case may be, both brands make a kind of a refresher. This is a refresher from Lithium. It's called Color Crush. And it does have a little bit of ceramic properties into it. And it does refresh that, the current ceramic coating that's on it. So if you have like something similar to the hard candy on there, then you use this. And I think, if you go with one brand, go with another. It's same brand. Don't switch it out with the ceramic. The detailing portion of it, the cleaning of it, whatever you want to use. Because you're basically cleaning that surface again with the rubbing alcohol. So whatever process and whatever, you just need to get there. And then when you use like the ceramic coating portion, try to stick with the same brand to brand. The refresh just kind of refreshes it, gives it a little extra life. So once you get that, even if you put it on a bike and you got the spray one, and about a year for your annual spring refresh your own bike, and if you're doing it yourself, you can just use this, gets that ceramic coating back to life, and you should be good off to the races, literally. Any case, that is ceramic coating, new and used, going from there. I like to cover all the bits, as much as I can, because I know it has that protective. I mean, it's not going to hurt anything. Just don't submerge it, of course. But like on shocks, to get the blades. I mean, if you're an off-road mountain biker, it might be something to really think about. Okay, there's other things out there like the kind of like wraps for bikes where they have that harder plastic that sticks on there. If you're doing a lot of off-road riding, or gravel bike riding, you want to protect underneath. That's where a lot of chippings goes underneath the actual down tube. That's a good place underneath the chain stays too. That kind of thing, from just kicked up rocks and gravel and that kind of thing. There's a lot of products out there for that. That'll give you that actual armor protection. But the clear coat or ceramic coating, excuse me, will help with some of that sprayed up road gunk, tar specifically. Hopefully it'll help be able to remove that when it does cake up underneath. And believe me, I've spent numerous hours getting high on carb cleaner. No, not getting high, but just spraying quite a bit with the garage door open with fans, trying to not get high. Cleaning up areas where troublesome, very hard, even with your thumbnail, you can't get it to come off. So had those. Also, carb cleaner is good. So if you had bar wrap, you have nasty wrap on there and you take it off and it's stuff still stuck on there, you can spray on the rag and kind of like grip it really hard and massage that gunk off of those bars before you put new tape on there. This sticky stuff's not really that big deal because you're putting them right back on. But if you have a tape that leaves a whole bunch of that foam residue, and then you'll feel the actual uneven surfaces, you definitely want to get that off or cut it off with a razor blade, that kind of thing. A lot of little tips and tricks on that because we've all been through that mess. And I noticed like there's one brand that's been known to be like horrible to take off. So I don't know the mechanic, it was just a bike I got used. They took electrical tape and put electrical tape layer over the whole drop bar before they put the handlebar tape on there, knowing because at some point you're going to need to take it off, and electrical tape is just easy just to rip it right off and give it a protective barrier, that kind of thing. All right. All right, thank you for joining me. We're getting up to close to the top of the hour. We're going to go talk about the topics and how the crazy world we're living in and cycling is affecting you as a consumer, as well as bike mechanic, bike shop owner, and the bike shops that you love and maybe not love or whatever, are being affected. And it's going to be it's been a weird year for the last 5 years. So every year has been its own unique weirdness, and we're in definitely a different weird spot. And we're going to talk about some of those things in my perspective of owning a small garage shop and how it's affecting me, as well as how, as I see it, is affecting other shops in the industry. Lawrence Mack, thank you for joining us. And let's see. Okay, I butchered that one. Thank you for giving me a tour on the e-bike. I'm thinking about doing a tour e-bike this week. I was thinking a Trek as an option. It is extra expensive. Oh, prices on e-bikes you should be able to still find some e-bikes on sale, but it's still the hotter market of all the markets that are still going right now. So I'd say it's, basically get some of the fit, and it fits your budget and fits what you want to do. Basically, it's all about fit first. Fit first is the biggest prospect of any bike or any bike tour or anything, because your butt's going to be on that for a long time and you want to be comfortable and not have any issues, for sure. Oh, okay. Lawrence, you bought some vinyl stickers covering to coat the down tube. You have your daughter helping you out there applying them. Yeah. The funny side note, it's like I had some, I know a guy at Bicycles, dot stickers made. It was when I was first getting stickers made and trying to figure out on refurbished bikes. And these, I bought, like 500 of them, and they were like too small to really read, but they turned out to be great stickers to prevent cable rub. So, and they're the high premium sticker from Vistaprint is basically what I got them from. I don't know who he makes them for Vistaprint, but sorry. Yeah, I need to clear that throat out. Anyway, that's what we have for frame detailing. There's a lot of different things you can protect that investment, especially for those who are spending a lot of money on their bikes, and the 5 to 10, or you got yourself a gem and you want to refurbish, that kind of thing, and make it super pretty. And, you show up on that ride and like, that fancy Paramount that was pre-Schwinn bankruptcy one, or, the unique niche moots or whatever, and you want it to be clean and protected and that kind of thing and last long, that's probably going to do. And also on carbon fiber, if it's chipped, you still want to have like some kind of protection of that exposed carbon. You still don't want water or moisture or dirt to get in there. Needless to say. But yeah, I'm going to do a little rearranging and get back to where I was. So I'm going to put this guy on real quick. Univega and Vin Diesel, but give you a good quality, safe ride to be able to do those extended rides and get into cycling. You'll find a link below with added savings. Extend that adventure starting now. All right. Okay, that wasn't as long as I needed it to be. Need to work on that. So, promo. This guy. Yeah. Know that guy. Got to put on some lights. So, state of the state. It's all messed up. That's all kinds of crazy. All we want to do is ride our bikes, right? And not have to pay an arm and a leg for them. Or get them fixed, or all those groovy things. Let me grab my notes from the last. So I had a video drop yesterday, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. Other things that may have came up just recently, and we'll talk about those things too. This is where the bike shop people really like to chime in or listen in, because they're either nodding their head going, yep, seeing it here, feeling the pain here, all those good things or bad things, whatever things. I want to say it's good. We're all here together, right? We're all trying to navigate through whatever we're trying to navigate through our business and take care of our customer, trying to take care of our cycling communities, that kind of thing. That's what this is all about. So yeah, if you're in the industry, my local source to get a lot, even if you're not, bicycle retailer and industry news, it's called Brain. Those are in the mucky muck of it. That's where a lot of news comes from. The individuals there really get some good information out there. They also have a recall page on their website, so check that out if you come across anything weird, that kind of thing. Oh, sorry. Need a little bleep button. All right. The small ones that work. Oh, okay, Lawrence is talking about the rock chip things. Yeah, the small ones, they keep it from, it's a lot of times when I'm detailing a frame, I'm already cleaning that area underneath the cable that's already done damage. It's a lot better looking than than the scuffed up mark. Anyway, Jesse, thank you for joining us. Oh, you bought a brand new Checkpoint SL 3-gen. Just a few days before the tariffs increase, yeah. So yes, let's talk about that. I'm lucky to save a few $100. So the bike I just featured, doing the detailing on, not that one, but the other one, the Marlin 6 Trek 3 generation. Apparently they had a mid shift in that, because when I looked at the newer ones, they have Tecto brakes, and these actually have Shimano disc brakes. So they probably work about the same, but it's kind of nice to see matchy Shimano with Shimano Q. Anyway, nor here nor there. That particular bike, when they dropped them off, it was a couple weeks ago. I'm getting a little bit long time to get to them, put them up, but it was really not a hurry situation on their behalf, because I'm selling on kind of consignment kind of thing. And I was like, well, it's going to be a longer game, because they need a little bit. They need to try to recover some of their money. There's the individuals that just like, they bought a set of bikes, it didn't work out for them. They got another set and they decided to sell these. That's therefore they've never been used off road. Bike off ride a couple times. So they ended up getting more of a deluxe, call them gravels. This was more of your hybrid style bike that's going to fit their niche or fit their style of riding. And They just need these to find a better home. So looking at that and looking at the prices, like, oh, it might be kind of hard to sell because the trucks during Trek Fest, where they bought their new trucks, their used models, even though there's nothing different for the 2025, is a lot of companies will carry over the same color, same miles, and so forth. They won't do any big model changes within 3 to 5 years, especially with anything that's under 2000, because they just need to keep that carrying going forward. That's a whole historical production, so forth. I probably need to talk to John Bradley about that because, in any case, he knows a lot more about the manufacturing portion of it than I do because he actually lived it. In any case, that bike was, the newer ones, 2025s, were on sale for like $850-ish. And we're like, ooh, may not be able to get as much as one out of it, especially after I do my stuff. There's a reason why I'm putting ceramic coating on it and waxing the chains on them. Like, at least it's kind of like they are still new, but they all have enhancements on it. So hopefully somebody will bite, line, and sinker. It's just, if it doesn't work, I'm just, these are good customers of mine. If I don't make that much off of it, it's fine. It's whatever the case. That's therefore I'm making the videos off of them. So hopefully that'll recoup any kind of loss I've had. Kind of a small back percentage. But since then, Trek Fest ended and Trek decided just to raise their prices. It's not a blanket. It's a variable through everything. Been hearing through the comments that some stuff is up a certain percentage, some has not been affected yet because they had a whole bunch of old stock on it or whatever. But what I noticed on the new Marlins as a case study is they went back up to the MSRP price and $9.99, and that's where they're lie. That's it. And they may go up a little bit more, which is crazy. But when we're talking about how everything's affecting the tariff situation. Yesterday's videos, I picked on Trek, but specializes in the loop too, as well as everybody, right? And I did talk about Menem Kent bikes, which they hadn't used. I dropped. I'll mention that in here in a little bit. But Silka had a video out. Basically, Josh from Silka was like, this is what's happening to us. And, needless to say, how you feel, where your stuff's being made, and so forth. They had a vet China to build their new pumps because that's where they get the best pricing with the best quality and so forth. So a lot of those companies, they'll have their own team on the ground or what have you there and see the production and that kind of thing. So there's not like a blanket assumption that everything from that one country is horrible. They make a variety of things. They have multiple plants. It's just, that's where the iPhones that you're watching me on through that I'm using comes from. I mean, so they have that high quality ability to do products. So not going to go into why, but for him and for Silka, they can't bring that product into the United States without taking a massive loss. So unfortunately, with those mini micro pumps, they are only being sold in other markets: Europe, Canada, South America, Australia, New Zealand, Asian market, that kind of thing. They had a handful that I think Josh got in his backpack he crossed over the border with. I'm just joking. They had a handful of them, sold them within an hour or two, and that's all the United States market's going to get. There alludes that the reason why I'm bringing this all up, there's going to be a huge compounding problem if this doesn't change. And if we thought, disruption of inventory was bad after COVID, this is just putting us right back there. Bikes to toilet paper. I mean, it's just, it's going to affect us in all different ways. And a lot of companies and some few companies are going down, not because of the tariffs, but it's already been a struggling market for cycling, as in lieu of a lot of other industries, especially outdoor industries. It's been a pretty big hit. And for cycling, it's been a whiplash. Too much stuff, not enough stuff. Well, first not enough stuff, then too much stuff, and then now everything's been on sale for so long, the precondition of the customer is only going to want to buy something that's on sale. Then all of a sudden, the markets, everything else has gone up in price. People are worried about job securities, all those things. Compound all of that. Was this the right move for Trek to do? To increase price? Well, they had to. I mean, it's just, regardless. if you look at it in the business perspective, even though the inventory that they have on hand now, most of it has not been affected by tariffs, but they have huge tariffs coming up. If they want to have products still on their floor, which if you're a Trek only store or a Trek corporate store, you're not carrying a lot of other products. Therefore, what's coming in is you need to have it. I'm talking bottle cages, tubes, all this other stuff. And that's what I want to allude to in the video too, is prior to Trek owning stores, they doubled down. What they did was, see, the ecosystem of a bike shop in the late 90s to early 2000s, we would buy from several vendors. We would have our Trek, which would carry Trek gloves, bikes, everything else that Trek made at the time, branded, okay. Your Shimano chains, your SRAM chains, your Kenda tires, your cables and housing from Jaguar, all those other brands and thousands of different brands. You buy those from other suppliers. Like I mentioned, Jenson's used to be one of those, JensonUSA, where now they just do the direct customer, and that's where you get a little bit cheaper because they don't have to do that layer of business. So a consumer, that's great. And a small garage shop like me, that's great because I get those prices a little bit lower. But there's other companies called Quality Bike Supply, QBP, which distribute a lot of stuff. J&B Importers, they've been around for a long time. Both of these companies have warehouses across the nation supporting bike shops. And then BTI, then you had like Holly, the whole laundry list of other smaller ones, or, then some companies like, I think Schwinn used to be one of those conglomerate ones. KHS used to just sell parts as well as their bikes, but the bike lines were not as popular. We bought stuff from the KHS rep because he had like 10 different lines that he repped. In any case, getting off topic. But what happened was Trek was saw an opportunity because they have all the warehouse and distributing all this Trek stuff. And like, well, why don't we start bringing in Shimano chains? We'll bring in SRAM chains and all these. So before you know it, being a Trek dealer, concept store, this all happened in that particular period of time. And I know I'm going a little bit of history, and hey, this is the time to do it on a live chat. This is lengthy. So the ecosystem of most bike shops before corporate stores became a thing was you go in, and if you're a Trek dealer, one of their higher level dealers, you would have only 80% of the Trek bikes and 20% maybe other stuff on the floor. That was part of the agreement. And then the other part was they have dating, which basically means if you buy something like right now, the dating terms are probably, I would say, July, August, September. And they'll split up that invoice into 3 or a little bit, and they'll stagger it. And that's part of the dating game. Not dating game as you think you want to be dating. It's not a swipe left or swipe right. It's basically put your head between your legs and pray to God you can pay those bills off coming at that time. But it's a shell game for money. And that's where they were really leveraging their Trek dealers to spend or commit more debt to them than everybody else because they brought in all this other product, and it made it super easy through their POS system, which is their point of sale system that they made specific for their Trek dealers, called Ascend. And that's their way of eavesdropping on all your sales in real time. Or they can. They say they don't, but they did. They do. Any case, not that topic I want to talk about. But anyway, when they were so they were ballooning their inventory and SKU counts of more cables, more tires, more this, more every other brand they thought they can sell through their stores. And the idea, the concept of the retail store would be like, okay, we order as much as we can that we need from special orders to inventory on the floor through Trek, and whatever they didn't have, they can go to QBP or whatever vendor. Well, they knew they were not into all of everything, and they partnered up with QBP, so it was already in the POS system that you ordered all your Trek stuff, and whatever wasn't there, it'd already be pre-populated in the shopping cart for QBP. That Trek didn't have. So boom, boom, and then you have those outliers that you'd have to, like me, service manager, would have to go on 8 different websites to find that one weird ass chain ring that nobody seemed to have. In any case, so that's the kind of the workflow, and that's what it was going up to them owning their corporate stores. And why am I bringing this all up? Well, that just means that Trek and several other companies like KHS as well and some other ones carried a whole library of other inventory. They were wholesaling all this other stuff, all products. And what Trek is, when they did their right sizing, the last couple of years, everybody's having hard times. A memo got leaked that they're right sizing the company, reducing 40% of their SKUs, which probably is most of the Trek stuff branded, because why in the hell would you need 18 different colors to one glove? In any case, probably need to reduce that. Not sure, because I have been out of the Trek store, so this is all my opinion and speculation. But if you're in a Trek store and in the chat, please chime in. If that's a process is still the same, let me know, let us know, or in the chat if you're watching this on replay, because that means a lot of that other inventory from different brand names come in a lot of different places, and those are going to be affected all differently in this colossal crapshoot of a tariff. So if some of that product, which a good portion, not a good portion, but a portion of it, has to be either affected by or coming from China, which has the absorbent tariffs. So those products are going to be directly affected. Are they going to eat that? They can't. Then all these other things. So it maybe not just, they're worried about their Trek gloves and shoes and clothing that are coming in. They're probably worried about all this other stuff that's coming in that they've already committed to Shimano and SRAM of taking, and then their own bike lines and stuff to replenish their stock. Okay, this is the time of year where majority of those warehouses are either fuller or they have their inventory in for their season will deplete down. And then these particular warehouses in the United States, especially the northern half where we have your typical summer and then an off season, those particular warehouses will deplete throughout the course of the summer. Here's the liar kicker. Most brands like to send out their new fresh product in July. So your 2026 stuff starts hitting the floors right around the tour, especially if it's the road version of July. So for them to be that aggressive of switching prices and kind of all over the board, well, it's one thing for a corporate store, but an independent bike dealer, obviously you can say, no, we're not going to bring our prices up, but they're going to take the hit of the costs, the replacement costs going forward. So there's a whole back end of this where if you're a bike shop and you're like, shit, now I need chains, and now they're like $5 more per chain, and I usually buy a box of 50, that adds up. And when you look at it's like your own personal grocery list, budget. Like all of a sudden your groceries as a whole have increased by 15 to 20%. And you're looking at it as a bike shop perspective, then you start thinking about, well, maybe we don't need that many chains. Or maybe we'll just wait and just buy what we need now. And what that's going to cause a cascade effect of like cash flow, right? So it's all about cash flow, because when these tariffs hit, they have to pay that up front. And then it gets trickled to the product price. But who's buying the product price? Cycling is not one of the 3 needs. It's not clothing, it's not shelter, and it's not food. So it's mental health when you go ride. It's exercise, good for your health, or maybe for commuting. But other than that, it's something that's a light item in your personal budget that can be cut. Therefore, even if you bring in these bikes and stuff, and we're already on a downward trend, not even talking about that, we're already doing this, and then you add that, like prices go up, that's just, I feel bad because they're in a bad situation. I mean, you can't, they can absorb some of it, but not all of it. And how they're handling it is really not going to look good for any of them. However, they handle it because they have to do it. And then all at the end of the day, you're no longer on sale bike is no longer on sale. Now you're spending another 150 to 200 bucks for that Marlin 6, which 2 weeks ago was 200 bucks cheaper. And on somebody on an income that's not the greatest and more questionable, that may not be it's a whole bad on top of bad shit challenge. I mean, it's just, that's what it is, for everybody in between. And, there's a lot of chatter from the last video and several others from other brands, like people who don't like them, what have you. Fine, everybody has their opinion, but they've been in the, Trek and Specialized have been leading the way for cycling from mid-range, and they do some good stuff. I mean, they do some positive things out there, but it's been masked over by the inflated prices, and then just add on top of that $10,000 bike and so forth. So what's going to happen? Right? This is what happened, and this is their scenario, and what's going to happen from here. You don't have to be brilliant about this. You don't have to be super smart. You just have to listen. And what I came to a conclusion is, well, they're going to cut down the volume of inventory that's going to be coming in, which i.e. shelves are going to be thin, and the product that you're going to be looking for or need are going to be less. And the prices are going to be higher. And that's not going to change until something drastically, changes. And with the whiplash of uncertainty, they're doing the best they can. I would say Trek and Specialized kind of held out as much as they can on some things. Kent International, which was the latest news that just came up yesterday, is basically halting all production from China, because most of their stuff is from China. And everybody has a whole bunch of opinion about that. But what's happening in China is those factories are basically taking a shutdown. Like, oh, there are no orders, we're going to shut down for a while, or cut down production because the stuff going to the United States. We are, in the United States, one of the bigger consumers in the world. Like, we buy so much crap, too much stuff. Just, we done it to ourselves. We like buying things. It's nice, fun things. And that's how the markets and businesses are always funneled into. But when you get a disruption like this, like all of a sudden everybody's a little bit nervous and going to hold back on buying. They're only going to buy stuff that they absolutely need. And if they have some reason they do have lucrative income and they actually can go buy that expensive bike, they're probably going to buy it anyway, regardless of the tariff price or not. But the thing is, those particular individuals that have that kind of money, or still do have that money, have already bought all those sweet, shiny toys because they've been on sale for the last 3 years. Therefore, they've already bled out their market. So, yeah, there we go. So, yeah, there's a lot that a lot of people have opinions about. And Chili, you hit it on the head when I'm talking about next. Yeah, talking about like special, so Trek's like inflate the price, and Specialized like, well, we'll just use it as a line item, as a tax, like your tax, like a line item tax of a tariff, and then they can easily manipulate it up and down otherwise. I think they still use Lightspeed, not the bike. Lightspeed is the POS system, and then through a lot of their stores, like Trek have this, and Lightspeed is multiples. They do, different various markets and so forth for POS. But needless to say, when you look at all of that, it's, I thought it was kind of brilliant. Well, two things what Specialized did. One, they announced when their prices is going up. Trek just was like, bam, done. Everybody, prices up. Get out there. And I was there on the day they did it. I was like picking up a crank for warranty crank and some parts, and talking to the service manager. He's like, yeah, we just increased all our prices on everything. I'm like, oh, really? And then the article in Brain popped up like an hour later. I'm like, okay, I made a video about it, and it was live. It was like, I don't have time to edit this all up, so I just did it live. So you can watch that at a later time. All right, watch it right now and just cut me off. In any case, so yeah, we have, why do I think there's going to be a shortage? Because, well, it takes 4 months of lead time, it takes 2 months for it on boat to get here. Some of the stuff is airdropped, but when you're looking at those expensive tariffs, it's like if they drop down for a day, I think everything's like sitting at the ports in China. They're just going to go take off, because there's a whole bunch of back inventory, it's just been just sitting there now. But for the consumers in the United States, it's going to be a little more challenging to navigate if you're looking at for something specific. And this is where the talking heads have been saying that they're hinting at there's going to be shortages on shelves across the board, and that's going to be hitting between 4 to 7 weeks. And a lot of these companies have backfilled or built up their inventory in anticipation of this to some level. But when you look at international, for example, just shut everything off. They've already had price increases. I've noticed that. But now they shut everything off. They're just like, you can't bring in anything right now, that kind of thing. So going back to Specialized and doing a line item versus how Trek did theirs, Specialized, they added a doom spending splurge for at least 2 weeks before the prices went in place. So therefore, if anybody was watching anything or had their eye on a bike or what have you, they're going to go, oh, I'm going to go down there and go get my bike now, because it's not going to be there when my tax return money gets here, or whatever the case may be. So that's the thing. And if you're out from the United States, in the United States, we pay our taxes on April 15th or whatever it is. And a lot of us, not me, because I have a business, I don't get money back. But most people, if they get money back, it's like a little insurgent of spending going into May. Well, that's what they're trying to capitalize on. So, in any case, that's where we're in the influx of new. And then how Specialized did there with a line item, which apparently leaked out today. The Amazon was doing it, and they're backpedaling that, doing the line item, because apparently the administration thought it was an aggressive attack on their tariff policy. I don't know. It's a whole bunch of malarkey. But in any case, don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But when you look at other companies who are thinking of doing the same thing, so as a consumer, you're like, oh, that's why I'm paying another 15, 20 bucks more. Or Temu, which is directly from China, taking advantage of the minimum tax or minimum tariff, which was no tariff, minimum whatever, anything from $800 or less was coming direct from China without going through customs or being taxed. All those products that companies have built up themselves in China, AliExpress, and there's a few other ones, and all of a sudden their prices are doubling, almost tripling. So it's happening, and it's getting weirder by the moment. And the reason why Trek and Specialized were huge names of this particular topic is they're one of the big two lines that are being sold within the United States. Then you have Giant, then Pon has its own library of bike lines, Cervelo, Cannondale, Mongoose, Schwinn. They have everything across the board. They're an investment company, so it's all about dollars and cents for that company. And they also have bike shops, which is called Mike's Bikes. And, they're in a super pickle. Needless to say how you feel about those companies before, but those companies provide jobs and income for a lot of individuals that love bicycles. That's the pain part. And even including myself, if I needed a job that had benefits and paid time off, the Trek store, the Specialized store, corporate stores, the REI, the Mike's Bikes with all those particular packages, as well as advancement and career opportunities, would be a lot more enticing. And I don't blame them, because I was there myself, but they weren't there yet. I had to leave the bike industry in 2003, 2005. Went to work for Big Five Sporting Goods. Same kind of concept, big chain store, sporting goods. They had job opportunities, growth. I made twice as much there than I did ever at the bike shop. And I had benefits and vacation pay, which was fucking awesome. I never had vacation pay before. You just took time off and you took the hit. So when you look at that, you can't blame these individuals that love cycling. They want to stay in it, but they want opportunity. That's what's really, that's where my heart and soul goes towards, those individuals, the people at the Trek store that I worked with when they used to work at Lee's. These individuals, you got to know, if their store's not performing the way it needs to be, that store might be cut, and they're not going to say, hey, well, you can have a job down in Pueblo, which is like 3 hours away. No, people are not going to move. So, or can if they, have families and so forth. So that's where the bleeding of the pain part I see in the industry is the people that love cycling and are part of it, and they're being directly affected by it. Regardless how you feel about the brands, they still provide good people to work at their places. I mean, I've dealt with a lot of individuals, and then there's some, honestly, there's some people out there that got into those stores that probably should not be doing bicycle retail. But that is with any retail. Let's just put it that way. Any case. We are the biggest so far. Road Warrior, yeah. Well, that might change, Road Warrior. we may not be the biggest purchasers coming real soon, and regardless of how you feel about everything. So the silver lining for a lot of those shops, independent, as well as some corporate stores, is they rely on a lot of service, which you've already saw that with REI, really doubling down on service and trying to draw in more service work to try to help patch up the lack of sales of the new stuff. That's where a lot of some shops, in addition to, I've even seen some videos. What was that? Active Matty, the former baseball player, that reviews mountain bikes, which I still scratch my head over that how he has so many viewers. But hey, whatever, good for him. He went into the REI and he actually found used. They're actually bringing in used. So even the if you're desperate enough, you start looking for ways, and guess what? The used market is a great opportunity. And I've been preaching this to all the bike shops I worked with under Retail Toolkit. And when I started doing what I'm doing, I'm like, dude, you can utilize this. And they're like, oh no, that's just too hard, whatever. And now they're like, I think used is a great gold mine because you can buy a whole bunch of product that's not tariffed. You can put some parts in it that's not going to be as expensive as a whole bike for tariffs. And then you're providing a lower price point bike for somebody walking in your store that is usually a newer cyclist. Therefore, that's a win-win. You get new people into riding with a lower price point, and you're still making a decent, if not better, margin than you are on the new product that you can't sell. So you're going to see a lot of shops, including corporate stores or chain locations, really leveraging the used market and used parts and used frames and service, as Josh at Precision e-bike mentioned. Service is the golden ticket. I got plenty of service work coming in conjunction with me selling used frames, parts, and so forth. I'm going to go look at a bike this afternoon. It's a specialized Columbus tube steel, and I'm going to really go over it like, do I part it out and sell it for more profit than I can sell it as a whole bike? So there alludes my world and what my concept is. And yeah, the chains might be a little bit more expensive, or the cables and the housing. That can easily be rolled into the price of used. Or if I'm tearing bikes apart, I'm not putting anything into it except for cleaning and all that. Yeah, I'm paying a little bit more for chemicals and cleaning supplies and so forth. But other than that, that's a lower lift for sure. So thanks for bringing that up, Josh at Precision, and as well as Road Warrior. Yeah, absolutely. And Chili too. And Lawrence, what do we got here? Oh, yeah, the cost of suspension work is, oh, yeah, well, suspension work is a twofer in the painful part. Number one, parts. You got to know exactly where it needs to go on those, including tools. So parts and tools, that's a pretty lift. Education and training is another lift. Most individuals, unless you can watch a YouTube video and it's a good enough YouTube video to do it yourself, great. But some of these things get super complicated. Therefore, that's where your cost is. You got to pay to play when you do suspension nowadays because it's expensive. Bottom line, especially if you buy a used bike, be about 90% sure you're going to have that suspension worked on or try to do it yourself. That's where I don't really do a lot of mountain bikes. Although those Marlins that I got, the only reason I do are selling those is I know they're new, and the people that rode them did not see dirt at all, and they've only are like 9 months old. So therefore, the used market on suspension mountain bikes, you can find some gyms out there. Don't get me wrong, but it takes a very good eye, and you should add that to your budget. And when you're in suspension world for mountain biking and so forth, you're gonna have to pay a little bit more. There's a couple of companies out there. Actually, that's one that REI is using. They're using Dirt Labs, which is in Longmont, as it's kind of their service center. Trek did their own version about a year and a half, 2 years ago, where they built their own service centers, like 7 of them across the United States. They'll probably dwindle down to a few, but that's where they would send all the shocks from all the Trek locations to be serviced and sent back and put back together, that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, there's going to be some, hopefully you'll find somebody in your neck of the woods that's kind of like me, but just service oriented for suspension. And Lawrence, looks like you're the case in your neck of the woods. $200 for suspension service, dual suspension service for buddies only. Oh, buddies only. Yeah. Even then, when you're a buddy, you still have to charge your buddies money. That's how bad it is, right? That's brutal. It's like, I mean, I'll fix a flat, I'll switch out cables for friends, and I'll look at some other issues or overhaul a hub. But when it comes to suspension work, it's like, ooh, that goes in a different bucket. A pain, bucket of pain. What's your bucket of pain today? Oh, I got 2 suspension bikes to work on. And then I got a couple, tubeless systems to set up. Yeah, oh yeah, and on top of that, I got to bleed a couple brakes that may questionably never bleed right, ever. So there loads the complicity of the recycling industry is did it to themselves to make things even more complicated to force people into service. So therefore, if you're buying a bike used or new, and if it's new within the last 5 to 10 years, there's a good chance that you may not be able to, I mean, you could, but it's going to be a pretty expensive lift for the tools and the time to learn and the trial and error, that it might be just behoove you to pay Lawrence here $200 to have your shock worked on. Or I think at Dirt Labs, I think the last time I saw a quote was like $350 per suspension. And you can look them up, you can ship it to them, and they'll ship it back to you, that kind of thing. They may have something like that. Jess, sadly here in Delaware, it's pretty flat. But the beach people seem to buy mountain bikes for pedaling around town and the streets. Yeah, it all depends what kind of pads you're riding on. I mean, if it's really chunky, uneven surfaces, what I mean, not the riders, the conditions. Some of those, I mean, I lived in Michigan for 2 years, and some of their roads are like more treacherous than off-road trails that I've experienced in the mountains in Colorado. So it all depends on your environment. I mean, if you need that suspension to get down to the beach without losing your molars, jarring, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, for sure. But yeah, I mean, so looking at the Trek, and, Trek Specialized did a little, I would say, grassroots promotion before their tariffs go up on the 1st. So you got a day and a half to buy anything from them. If you're feeling comfortable enough of buying anything at this point, and that's in the United States. Apparently, I've heard chatter from other countries. Prices have not gone up. Everything is, supplies okay. They're not seeing major disruptions. We just did it to our own damn self, and that's, sorry, and don't blame all of us, because I sure shit didn't vote for this to happen to me and everybody I know around me and the industry I'm in. Any case, hopefully it's, a short pain rip-off Band-Aid, and it'll be back to somewhat of a new normal. But then again, we've been saying it's been a new normal for the last 5 years, so who the hell knows what's going. But what's working for me? Tune-ups, parts, frames, cells, refurbished parts and frames and wheels and stuff like that. Doing preventative, like pre-wax chains from Connex. Been working well because a lot of people, they want to, get. I mean, if you're going to improve your drivetrain, your chain probably should be the first thing to improve as a functionality portion of it. The Connex is a German steel. You can get the stainless steel version, which is a little bit more, but they're proven to last a little bit longer. And then when you add the waxing element to it, that prevents the rest of your drivetrain from wearing out as fast. So that, okay, that is a little bit of Kool-Aid to swallow down, but that's becoming a good industry trend. And you don't have to be, it's not, I mean, like Silka and some other brands are like, it's all about the racers. And it's like, no, I had one guy that chimed in, was like, I wax all my chains because I just don't want to be dirty anymore. Transporting me and my bikes and my kids' bikes and all that. Yeah, it's super clean. It doesn't attract as much dirt. It's easy to rinse off and to re-wax, and you got the performance factor and all those things. So anyway, that's one of the many things that I'm constantly shifting to try to leverage to make a decent income, or keep the lights on, literally. And and then again, you watching me on here definitely helps. I mean, you support this community by watching me. You're a part of it, engaging with it. That's great. The view counts help. Every little bit helps at this point. And when you're a shop, I mean, any bike shop right now, every customer counts like they're kings and queens when they walk in the door. You take care of what they need. This is actually driving the ecosystem of bike shops to go back to taking care of their communities versus being those elitist shops of yesteryear, which they're not going to sustain. I'm telling you right now. It's like they may be lucky enough, if they're in a rich enough neighborhood that don't care about the cost of things, sure. But you know how rare that is? It's already rare. You type on surviving this with that kind of mentality, rare? Oh, yeah. I bet a lot of those, every shop is now trying to figure out what can we do to be okay from this. That's where it is at the end of the day. Are we going to be okay? And Robert, exactly. You got to adapt. Well, that's always been the case in the cycling industry, especially an independent bike dealer. You've always had to adapt, either whatever Kool-Aid they're forcing down you or what your market is actually telling you. That kind of thing. And the customer experience is definitely the future, as you put it there, Robert. I mean, it's like we're still, us Americans, we're very impulsive. We're like, I want that. Oh, I want that now. I'm going to go down to the store. Case in point, my wife drove an hour to Boulder to go pick up the latest, the watch or an iPad I had to go to the Apple store there for one of the devices. She could have had it shipped and been here the next day. But no, she had to drive an hour there, dink around in Boulder for an hour, and drive back an hour. That's how we are here. Not everybody, but a lot of us are like, I want that now. I'm going to go see if I can go run down to the store and find it. Therefore, we still like to have, maybe that's their age thing, because the youngers are just, click and collect and just they'll show up. But then again, Amazon makes it very easy. Like, oh, I'll be here this afternoon. And before you know it, after your nap, and boom, there it is. Aging myself, definitely need a nap. Customer experience, definitely. Robert, Roadwear, why I don't think our experiment is going to work. With REI, it's a cool shop, right? They have all sorts of cool, expensive things. And, the story of REI is kind of interesting. The company grew and they employ a lot of people. They've always had a service department there, which we combated as a bike shop. And they have some good people for sure. But you're right. Looking at what they've been troublesome with the last 2 years, the moves that's been public so far, they're hurting. right? And are they going to be able to sustain? I don't know. Because that particular market is kind of like the Whole Foods of outdoor gear. I mean, that's that's the way I can put it. If you don't know, Whole Foods is your expensive groceries, where it's like used to be like $100 a bag of groceries, which is probably two now from them. And now that's you go to Walmart, it's 100 bucks a bag of groceries. And like, what the hell happened to me? But yeah, I think they've had some trouble sometimes. They did some corrections. They've cut some fat out of their system. They canceled or closed down their whole experience, like Trek Travel kind of thing, a kind of a travel agency thing for experiences for biking and hiking and camping and stuff. They got rid of that. They apparently owned their warehouses where they're distributing from into their stores. So they sold the warehouses to an investment company. Now they're renting to that investment company. So they got some extra cash there. They did expand and open a store here in Loveland, took over Sportsman's Warehouse location. So it's kind of like what you're seeing at front, they're looking okay, but when you look at all the things in the back end, maybe not so good. But more power to them. Hopefully they sustain. But the last thing we need to see empty buildings. I mean, Sports Authority went out. That was kind of a sad thing to see. Not that I really like Sports Authority because I worked at Big Price Sporting Goods and they were our direct competition. But they did a dumb move. And a lot of companies do dumb moves like this. They decided to make, because, big football fields here, like they do across the world for soccer, but not here in the United States. We have football arenas and they like to put, brand names on them. And decided to make the Mile High, Sports Authority Field. They were out of business 6 months later after they made that contract. And we had to stare at that Sports Authority sign for like 2 years until they are able to get a new investor to invest into that or whatever. So, so yeah, I mean, and it's really at the point that they have to really pay attention to exactly what they're doing on every little thing, which is hard on everybody. I mean, for sure. For sure. And the other thing too is, Lawrence, you sparked an idea or a thought of mine. It's like, it's really hard to be very positive and nice to customers coming in the door when you're struggling, when you're having a hard time, because especially if you put your heart and soul into it as an owner. Because this happened at Parker Bikes. I mean, we're downturned and you get somebody coming in and like, oh, you're going out of business? I'm mad at you because you're not going to give me my free tune-up. Like, you got to be fucking kidding me. It's like we're losing our business and our livelihood and you're worried about your free tune-up. So, it's like when you're in desperation situations like that, it's really hard to be really nice. But hopefully you're sustaining enough to be like, okay, we're good for now, and let's just try to be really nice to everybody and try to build that community, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's where you're going to see a lot of shops go that direction, even corporate. I mean, yeah, I bet you now when you walk into REI, you get approached about 8 times from somebody, which about 6 months ago, I've been in REI a couple times, and I walked through the whole store and nobody acknowledged me. I'm like walking past employees, putting up bags and putting stuff away, not even a courtesy acknowledgement. I was like, wow, that's something. Like, crazy. And now I'm sure they're really like, hey, that's something that's an easy thing to do, right? Any case, appreciate it. Appreciate you watching. Let's see, there was something else. So we got Trek and Specialized to talk about their pains and woes. I mean, Trek, they're going to be moving just like Silka. They're going to be moving their inventory in different countries, different markets. Same thing as Specialized, because they're Merida backed. I mean, they're 30 whatever percentage there's on Specialized now is Merida. So they're distributing a lot of stuff and moving stuff around to avoid extra costs of tariffs, and they're only going to bring in where they know they're going to sell or think they're going to sell. So therefore, you may not have that much going on. I think they were all that way, Tony. I mean, I don't know, because and a couple of them. Here we have a couple. Yeah, there's a ton of REIs all over the place. I mean, they have REIs in Canada. I'm assuming they would, for sure. So the other thing, like Kent International, they have a Metum. They're just like Pawn, and well, it's a smaller version of Pawn. They have other brands that they're trying to leverage, like Univega and so forth. And even those facilities are going to halt in production because it's assembly, essentially, because all those parts are coming from China, but they put them here and paint them and all that. So we're looking at that hardship. I mean, your prices are going to go up. There are going to be less of them. Is other companies going to fill that void? Come on, Walmart is still going to try to find a SKU to fit that slot. For them, any empty space is loss of money or potential of money. So they're going to, I mean, who knows? Whoever has bikes in the United States, 6 months from now, you might be seeing some bigger brands in Walmart. Who knows? Or discontinued, or a company that went under and they just bought all the inventory. That's what Big Five used to do quite a bit. That's why you get all sorts of weird, crazy Nike stuff or whatever. Not from Nike directly. They'd buy from some mall business, like a Sears, not Sears though, but somebody that's like, oh, we need to dump these. This is a bad buy, that kind of thing. So there's all that inventory shifting. So there's going to be all sorts of weird inventory shifting going on for sure. But yeah, that news about Kent International, that was kind of interesting. And they have employees too, of course, in the United States and assembly and that kind of thing. Then when you look at who else was it? There's a couple companies that are actually showing a little bit of a profit. MEMS, the helmet safety thingy that goes in helmets, that was up. But then again, you can get a MEMS helmet for $39.99 at Walmart from Bell Sports. So they're ludes. They got a guy on contract and they're hitting that lower market, which I keep on pounding the table going, people are price savvy before, and now they're even more so because they have to be. And the likelihood of them coming in and pointing at a bike on a bike floor, like, okay, I'll buy that, is gone, or far and few between. And they're going to be like, do you have anything cheaper? That's going to be the thing. Like, or they don't even, see the first 4 price tags and they walk right back out of the door because all they do is put up the 5,000, 10,000 shiny gold nuggets out there. And then you need to like conform your stores now to be more enticing for the entry level riders. So gold nugget there, and change that out. Try it, like switch it out for a weekend. Just switch out that front end caps of your stores, the front portion. That first experience needs to change every week or every other week. That's the corporate perspective, because they'll find if they're a customer that comes in periodically, if they see something different, then it might catch their eye like, oh, that's new, versus, oh, that's the same old, and walk right back to service or grab that tube and out the door they go. So, it's like that thing. You got to constantly refresh your store, and don't refresh it with all expensive stuff. My God, because that's just not what anybody's looking for right now. So Womb Bikes, that's another company that came up positive, which was great, because apparently they're a nicer end, well-built kids bikes that last, so you can hand them down, and they're not a T or an S brand, or expensive as T and S. They're cheaper than them, but not as junky or self-exploding like the other ones. And they had a positive quarter or something like that. So you're seeing some of this, and honestly, it's not all U.S. sales. It's European and so forth. So that was one. Thule raises 10%. Oh yeah, they're raising the price. So you can see prices increase pretty much across the board everywhere. I mean, did Trek go too soon? Probably not. I mean, they're probably already, a lot of them probably already started increasing their prices and not like said anything. International did really early on. Just at the beginning of the administration, I noticed their prices going up. The reason why I know that, because I've dealt with some of their Menem bikes and the Univega and that kind of thing, which they are pretty decent for the price. But when all of a sudden you're noticing those prices going up $50 to $100, and you're like, whoa, what's going on here? And obviously they're not going to divulge that, but they're the ones that sell directly to Walmart, Target, Sports Academy, various other companies out there, and it's mass volume. So when you're talking about too much, you can't absorb it, that kind of thing. So it's interesting, but to allude to what Josh had positioned e-bike. I mean, the e-bike market is still there, growing probably more than any of the other ones. Gravel is still growing. Everything else is probably taking a downturn. But I can tell you that's for all new. Used market. In my neck of the woods, I'm seeing prices still drop. There's nobody buying. So it doesn't matter if people are driving to do used. There's so much inventory there that it's all about price. And if you're a fan of just like looking at bike prices and looking at different bikes on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace, I'm sure on any given day you're like, whoa, that's $100 for that Le Mans? How do I figure out how to get down all the way down to Parker today? I mean, that's an hour and a half drive for me. I mean, that's what I saw this morning. Like, $100. No, it was less than that. It was like $25. They were just clearing out the goddamn garage. I mean, anybody in Parker, Colorado, look it up. I think it was on Facebook Marketplace. $25 for a Buenos Aires Le Mans. Older, but hey, still a nice steel frame. May have to do some modifications to it, but that's a steal. Those are, it's a steel frame and also a steel. That is happening all over. I've been seeing, finding, or people are just like done with them, what they have, and like moving on, or they're like trying to make a little extra income and clear out where they can to just, pay bills or whatever happened to them. Because we do have a pretty strong, well, it's not, I wouldn't say strong, but we had a pretty large tech government-based contract facilities in Boulder, Colorado, and the universities are affected by that too. So therefore, you're looking at a huge income base level that are six-figure plus dwindle to a lot lower. And those are the ones that would walk in and go, oh, I'll buy that bike, or I'll have that suspension work done for $1,000. They're not going to be doing anything anytime soon. So that's my ecosystem that I'm faced with. Therefore, a lot of people are looking at used. I'm encouraged, like, just go buy something used to get it close to your right size, figure out the right size. I'll tune it up for you. I'll be a little bit less tuned up than you'll do at the corporate stores, and we'll get you going. Get you riding, get you a little fit on there, and do it right, and get you out there and riding, because people are still riding there. Where I alluded to this 2 hours ago at the beginning of this, like, people are on the bike paths. I was out there last weekend, ton of people riding bikes. They're there. Even one set had a flat they were fixing on the side. I popped in, but 3 other people helping out. It's like, we're here. I mean, we're out there riding and so forth. They're out there. How do you leverage that? How do you be a part? How to make your shop a part of that community? How do you get your corporate shop to be that part of that community? I mean, here locally, the specialized stores agreed to do a couple rest stops for the bike MS. I mean, and the people that work there, they're good individuals. They've been in the industry from other shops, small shops and so forth. And they see the opportunity, and they're like, now we're given, their supervisors are like, what do we do? And they're like, this is what we should do. And they're like, okay, let's give that a try. It's going to hurt. It's not going to hurt anything. It's going to build up your brand. And the ride doesn't even get close to any of their stores. Let's put it that way. They're just trying to get the brand recognition out there. And, case in point, for me, for what I do, I have customers that drive hour and a half away to come visit me in my shop. So location is no longer a factor. They want to make sure, or they want and desire to have somebody that they know or know of and feel comfortable and confident of having their service done or buying parts or whatever, that kind of thing. Because there's been a lot of mistrust within the cycling industry for a long time, or people are just like deathly afraid of walking into a corporate store. And just, that's just how the environment has turned out. It's kind of crazy that we're in this situation. Yeah, right now, like Randy mentioned, if you're a shop, don't be, don't be, I mean, if you need to buy some chains and you know you're going to go through that for like service, but I want to be buying extra bottle cages and gloves and clothing, especially clothing. Clothing's always been a very painful topic for bike shops. Because the reason being is like Trek and Specialized, like be part of the dealer agreement, you got to have an X amount of dollar or percentage of clothing in your store. And then they're forced, some of them would force random crap that you're not going to sell in your market. It doesn't fit your market at all. So this is the opportunity for independent bike dealers to go back to their dealers, and they're going to have quiet conversations with their reps, and the reps, regional supervisors, like, look, this is not working for us, and we need to readjust this stuff or whatever, whatever the combination that fix for the independent bike dealers. Because quite honestly, this scenario that we're in right now puts corporate stores at a high failure rate, extremely high failure rate, because they can't pivot fast enough to go to the used market, to do service, to all that. I mean, they've been shifting. Trek's been trying it, and Specialized too, but they already have the stigma set to them, and for them to pivot and actually capitalize on that, they're dead in the water. They're just dead in the water. I mean, there's only so much you can do. Their service is down. Their sales are not that great, not going to be even greater at all. And we're at the beginning of the season here. So, I mean, yeah, it's even us personally, we're cutting back. We're canceling subscriptions and reanalyzing our budget. And we're okay technically, where we're even worried about what if. So yeah, I'm not going to be paying a lot for anything, nor do I expect any of my customers to do the same. And I'm going to do everything I can to, still try to build that cycling community, to get people into riding, because I know they may not just need it to just ride for fun. They may need it to ride for getting out of their head for 10 minutes or 30 minutes or an hour while they go for that ride. It's, I mean, anybody, as you're watching this, most likely you ride, and the benefits when you get on your bike, all that shit turns off, or most part of it, or you work out issues while you're riding, especially if you're riding by yourself, like I do a lot, because it's like, I just need to flush it all out, right? And it's good for your physical and mental, getting more people out there riding, being part of their families. It's, that crocodile, checkpoint. It's a trailer bike. I mean, it's a very nice trailer bike, gravel bike, but they're pulling a trailer and they have a little one. And I was like, it just made me smile when they dropped it off yesterday. Like, oh, that's so cool. You're out there and you're utilizing our bike paths and, be more into it and that kind of thing. And, that's what it's all about, right? I mean, for me, that's what I shoot for. In any case, a jibber jabber, too long, too much, too how, but yeah. All this crap has gone weird and more weird. A lot of shops out there. If you're in a shop, you're doing the best you can. I know you are. We're all here. Commute. If there's any successes you've had, and some have shared it in the chat, and hopefully that shows up later. But it's all those successes that we're finding in our markets. Service is a huge bit of it. And other things, how to leverage used and all that. Maybe I need to come up with a video that does like how to look for used, that kind of thing. In any case, that's it. It's weird. For us that are still around and survive all this, we're going to be definitely stronger. There's going to be a lot less of us, and the demand's going to be a little bit higher. How to work on those things. So those who do it well. Yeah. Oh yeah, another part. I was looking at Jesse's comment here. The Dick's Sporting Goods, for some reason, has been showing positive numbers. I don't know what they're doing, but they got some kind of philosophy that's working for them. In any case, thanks for hanging out with me. It is Tuesday, Shop Talk Tuesday. Hopefully you got some gold nuggets out of ceramic coating. I'll come up with another thing next week that's something to focus on that we, at Bike Mechanics, we work on. And even if you are a bike mechanic, maybe get a couple gold nuggets of like better processes or be able to leverage it in your own shop to provide better service for your own customers and so forth. But yeah, we're all in the same boat as community they're building. It makes you that makes this channel, so thank you very much. And yes, I'm long-winded here. If it's beautiful in your neck of the woods, please go for a ride. And again, thanks for hanging out with me in the garage. Until next time, if it's Tuesday, it's Shop Talk Tuesday. You guys be well. What the hell's going to happen next week? Man. Well, I'll be around. I'll be around. That's all I'm going to be around. Thanks, guys. Jess, Lawrence, Josh, Randy. Thanks for chiming in, being part of it. Tony, Robert. You guys got really active. Awesome. Chili. Good one, Randy. Another Randy. Of course, it's the same Randy. And a couple new ones. Lewis, David, and Tim. Get out there and ride, Tim. Enjoy that. Well, you sold that well more than I sold you. Whatever you're riding, enjoy it. Oh boy. Oh boy, indeed. Guy Bicycles, hanging with a guy. Hey, I'm Justin, the guy in the garage. I do have a garage shop, and you see most of these tools behind me. I want to do a shout out to JensonUSA, which you'll find a link below if you're looking for some good pricing and as well tools to fit or to expand your actual shop at home. Take care, all.